goodness, he's done it again!
For all of your support over the years, I want to thank you, the fans of Baltimore, from the bottom of my heart. This is the greatest place to play.
1995, a time to pause, reflect, and remember an all-time lucky number 7.
Today we have lost one of our own, one of the greatest ball players in the history of baseball.
We've truly lost not only an American hero, but a person that portrayed the innocence and the honesty that we all would like to have.
1995, Judgment Day for inmate number 401-3970.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder.
I will forever be proud of my son and my family.
1995, a historic march to Pasadena for 98 brave young Wildcats. 1995, 5 superstars shine brightly once again. 1995, for 39 years, he told it like it was. On April 23rd, his voice fell silent.
I'm Howard Cosell, and it is a typically wind-blown candlestick park, and frankly, I am cold.
So many moments.
He lets it fly!
The 0-1 pitch on the way to Edgar Martinez. Swung on the line, down the left field line for a base hit. Here comes Joy. Here is Junior at third base. They're going to wave him in. The throw to the plate will be late. The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship.
Yes! Rocca has done it!
Emmy with the basketball into the front court, down through the lane, goes down. Ewing surrounded. 2 seconds to shoot. He drives. He shoots. He missed. He missed. He missed. We ring the bell, baby. Ding dong. The witch is dead.
So many faces. So many images. So much to say.
24 pounds! 24 pounds!
Because remember what happens when I wrap you in my cocoon.
I don't fear death. You don't fear death? No.
I need ESPN. I need that.
And we are here for you.
You have to die.
Hey, this is no laughing matter. We're serious.
I got to take this call, guys.
Okay, but be prepared. The best of SportsCenter is next.
And a very pleasant Christmas Eve to you. It is our 17th Yuletide here in the ESPN SportsCenter. I'm Bob Lee, along with me, Karl Ravech, and we are about to unwrap 90 minutes worth of presents.
Yeah, what a year it was. Sort of like a sports roller coaster ride. For as bad as we all felt at times during the Simpson affair, there was a very special night in September when all in the world seemed right.
That's right, Karl. Both you and I were there at Camden Yards in Baltimore as Cal Ripken stepped into history. The pundits had been working overtime, invoking the spirit of Lou Gehrig and the nobility of hard work. And all of that was true. But there was more. The exquisite drama of Ripken's home runs, the redemption of a sport in need of saving, and the celebration of an athlete who seemed up to the scrutiny of the word hero.
Here come the Orioles with Cal Ripken and the Birds coming out of the dugout. The pitch. There's a long high drive. Deep to left center. Way back. Ripken, home run!
We're halfway through the event now. There's some sense of relief, but there's still some sense of terror for tomorrow night.
Thanks for being here on this special day. Great day, okay.
2,131 consecutive games for Cal Ripken. What a celebration.
If he throws one down the middle here, even on 3-0,
yeah, he'll still swing at it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
3-0 to count. Here comes. Swung at it.
Gone. Goal. Yes.
Wherever my former teammate, Ley and Karl, is today, I'm sure he's tipping his cap to you, Karl Ravech.
I know that if Ley and Karl is looking down on tonight's activities, he isn't concerned about someone playing one more consecutive game than he did. Instead, he's viewing tonight as just another example of what is good and right about the great American game.
What a night. As you watched Ripken's victory lap, he made a point as he went around and slapped hands and talked to the fans to stop everywhere there was a small child, to stop and make contact and really share that moment. There was that element of grace and family even in the midst of a rather remarkable experience.
And through it all, one thing that Ripken never did was let on about how much pressure he was under to break this streak. There were those who suggested stop one short or equal it and take a night off, but he wouldn't do it, and it wasn't because of his ego. It was because he felt he was more valuable to his team on the field than off it, and he was right. Much more to get to later. We'll bring you the top 10 sports moments of 1995 as voted by your buddies here at ESPN.
That's right. And also ahead tonight, the great games, the great highlights like Jason Kidd's surreal and emphatic evening in the zone. What a night to remember. We'll also have tonight the comebacks of 95, those that were unexpected and those that were inspirational. This is the best of SportsCenter 1995.
5 is brought to you by Levi's 501 Jeans. Be your own reason. And by Rayovac Renewal. Reusable alkaline power. Play it smart.
Jason Kidd and the Dallas Mavericks might be struggling through this holiday season, but there was a night that the Kid was more than all right. A night that probably changed enough Rookie of the Year votes to get Kidd half of the award. April 11th. He nearly didn't play against the Houston Rockets, had a very sore neck, but he did. The sort of highlights Kidd should helicopter into SportsCenter with, because they were the highlights of the year, and who better to unwrap them as he did that night on SportsCenter but Craig Kilborn.
Dallas down 12 entering the fourth. Game far from over. Jamal Mashburn, low block power. And then, oh my gosh, Jason Kidd has just entered the zone. No. Yes, for 3. Game tied at 96. Kidd in the zone. Mavs by 7. Rudy breathing. Clyde heaving for 3. Rockets down 4, 36 to play. Kenny Smith for 3. It's a 1-point game. And then down 3. Time keeps on ticking into the future. Swing it to Sammy for 3. We go to overtime. Rockets appear in control. Clyde, one thing he can do is finger roll. And the foul. 29 points for Clyde. Mario Ellie release rotation splash. Rockets up 11 in OT. Then by just 5, Jason still in the zone. The steal for 3. Are you kidding me? Jason, Mavs within 2. Down 3 closing seconds. Jason for 3. Oh, in my zone. All tied up. Double overtime. Bouncing in the zone. All Mavs after that. Get off of my cloud, George McLeod, and the foul. Mavs take the lead for good. Jamal simply being Jamal. He's okay. 42 for Mash. End of the game. Jason's still feeling it. Dunk with the left. The Mavs win. Kidd scores career-high 38 points, including a career-high 8 3-pointers. Drexler had a triple-double with 29, 11, and 11. Mashburn, 42. Hi, Greg. 1995 was also the year of comebacks in sports. Not just any comebacks, but the return of the top performers to their respective games. Let's face it, racing wasn't the same without Ernie Irvan. Tennis missed the grunts and groans of Monica Seles. The heavyweight boxing division, what heavyweight boxing division? Like Mike Tyson, Mario Lemieux put the gloves back on, and thankfully, Michael Jordan took his off.
Get away.
I think the word retire means you can do anything you want from this day on. So if I desire to come back and play again, maybe that's what I want to do. Maybe that's the challenge that I may need someday down the road, someday down the road, someday down the road.
Michael Jordan is returning. He released a press release today that said, quote, "I'm back."
I think it's pretty cool.
It's good for the league.
Michael Jordan has returned, and he's wearing number 45.
Trying to shake off the rust, the 18-month layoff, and it showed. Not quite a Disney ending for Michael Jordan, but he's back.
You know, the competitive side of me wanted to be in there, but physically, you know, I was kind of a little weak.
Nothing weak about these numbers. Jordan and the NBA on NBC just dominated the traditional college basketball day on CBS. And TNT, no surprise, they want in. They've added Friday's game, Michael's first home game against Orlando, to their schedule.
From North Carolina, Edgar,
Here's MJ, and the United Center misses his first 3 shots.
Even though the team looks to come to me, much as I want to contribute, I'm not quite ready to take that responsibility.
Bounce to Michael, racing the clock. Jordan for the win. Yes! I did it again! He is now back!
Michael is back and still better than ever. His off-Broadway showing tonight at the Garden raised the roof and lowered the spirits of all Knicks fans.
55 points by Michael Jordan.
I guess it took 4 games for me to really get my rhythm down.
Nike versus Reebok, Gatorade versus Pepsi, Michael versus Shaq. How about Shaq off the Brian Shaw miss, entering Michael's world, and in fact telling Michael, look out below.
Bulls Magic, game 2, and guess what? Are you kidding me? Holy royalty. He's wearing number 23. Michael is back.
This time last year, I thought that, you know, my career was over, and I had no plans of coming back. But like I said, this last 6 months, I started to feel a lot better, a lot stronger.
11 games on the NHL schedule, but in Pittsburgh, only one mattered. Mario Lemieux was back on the ice, playing his first regular season game in close to 2 seasons.
And Penguins team captain, number 66, Mario Lemieux.
Drop it up to Lemieux. He's right there. His shot. He shoots and scores. Number 500.
Lemieux cruises inside. The feed is out in front. They score! Lemieux! A hat trick! And it's 4-3 in favor of Pittsburgh. Mario Lemieux with the hat trick in this period.
Cross for Mario. He scores! Off to Lemieux. Lemieux, he scores! Mario Lemieux making it look easy. Here's Mario, scores! Hat trick!
Look for a backdoor play to Mario.
There it is right there. Score! I have run out of adjectives. I mean, what else can you say about Mario Lemieux?
It was a special day for women's tennis this afternoon in Atlantic City. It was only an exhibition between Seles and Martina Navratilova, but a significant step for the former #1 player in the world.
No more practice, no more exhibitions. Tonight, Monica Seles began her official comeback.
Oh, yeah.
Game 7.
Something like that.
It's just amazing. The whole thing is amazing.
Game 10, match Seles. 6-2, 6-2. Monica Seles, co-seeded, co-ranked #1, has lost just 13 games this week.
Her 2.5-year hiatus ended with an emotional run towards the Canadian Open title earlier this month. Her performance in Toronto, though, not only heightened hopes, but also expectations for this Grand Slam event. Dragomir cannot get to Seles' return of serve. The crowd embracing Monica Seles,
Marcellus wins 6-2, 6-1. Marcellus lost only 13 points in the 23-minute second set.
Monica goes on to win the match and speedy justice for her. 54 minutes.
Marcellus passes her toughest test with flying colors, eliminating Uber in 71 minutes.
7-6 and 6-2. The match took an hour and 27 minutes.
Marcellus has now won 20 straight U.S. Open matches, equaling the 4th longest streak of all time.
Third set, Marcellus would run out of gas. Graf here with the service return winner. And Graf goes on to win her 4th U.S. Open.
Women's tennis can survive it at Monica, and Monica can survive it at women's tennis, but we are both better off with each other.
I know when they throw the green flag that I think the same instinct's going to be there just like it was, and lead every lap and win the race.
A week shy of 7 months since the terrifying accident at the Michigan Speedway that nearly killed him, NASCAR driver Ernie Irvan went back behind the wheel today at Darlington in South Carolina, and he set a track record.
Today, Irvin officially began his Winston Cup comeback, attempting to qualify for Sunday's Tyson Holy Farms 400 on ESPN.
13 months ago, they said he wouldn't make it tonight, and he is back in a stock car.
Aren't you a little bit excited?
And now I'm excited. It's, I mean, it's like we're leading up towards this whole point right now.
Dale, pretty exciting deal.
That's it, yeah, that's great. I don't know how anybody can do that after a year. I have a hard time if I'd race here every week.
His recovery has been miraculous, the only remnant double vision. With the aid of an eye patch and an extra mirror, Irvin started his first race today in 13 months.
And Ernie Irvin is taking a lead, and look at the people. They're going nuts.
The event itself was something of an anticlimax. The impossible dream came true in the first moment of the first inch of the first lap. Ernie Irvin was back behind the wheel in NASCAR.
By 6:10, surrounded by his entourage, almost as if he seemed to be entering the ring, Tyson was leaving the prison.
His announcement was as brief as some of his quickest knockouts.
May Allah bless you all. Thank you.
Well, we have covered a lot of strange events over our years here at ESPN on the boxing beat. This may be the strangest one of all. A night in which the national anthem lasted longer than the fight.
This guy, man, he's right on you. He's strong as a friggin' bull.
So, Mike Tyson fans, free fight. You got what you paid for. Trick or treat.
So what now for you? Is to hurry up and wait?
Hopefully gonna be another Tyson Mathis fight.
Nothing but unqualified success for these athletes in their returns. Only Jordan took a little while, 4 games to get back to tip-top shape, and now he's a leading candidate for MVP. No doubt, though, the next time these athletes leave their respective sports, they will be even more revered.
As we continue on the Best of SportsCenter, his story isn't over, but his criminal trial is. We'll take a look back at O.J.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony upon Nicole Brown Simpson, a human being, as charged in count 1 of the information.
Simpson was planning an infomercial to sell his story. And while the civil suits against him unfolded, the fact is the juice for all his moments on the field and the entertainment of his screen career, he was still the central figure in the most universal drama in recent American history. As the country, indeed the entire world, stopped and literally held its breath as Simpson faced a jury of his peers.
Superior Court of California, County of Los Angeles, in the matter of the people of the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson, case number BA097211. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony upon Nicole Brown Simpson, a human being, as charged in count 1 of the information.
And with that, the great debate began. There were as many who considered the verdict to be as big a crime as the murders themselves. And then there were those who agreed with Johnny Cochran that justice had been served. Mark Schwartz covered the trial and exposed both ends of the emotional spectrum following the verdict.
O.J. Simpson returned home to his Brentwood mansion just 1 hour after being acquitted. And there to welcome him, his lifelong friend, Al Cowlings. Though Simpson has yet to address the public, his son Jason did express his father's emotions upon becoming a free man after spending 473 days in jail.
I'm relieved that this part of the incredible nightmare that occurred on June 12, 1994 is over. My first obligation is to my young children who will be raised the way that Nicole and I had always planned. My second obligation is to my family and to those friends who never wavered in their support. But when things have settled a bit, I will pursue, as my primary goal in life, the killer or killers who slaughtered Nicole and Mr. Goldman.
On behalf of the entire team, I just like to say how grateful we are for this verdict, because we think this verdict bespeaks justice.
I knew that my son was innocent, and I had the support of so many people all over the world.
For so many months, you've been asking me, how do I feel? And I tell you, I just feel like standing on top of this table and dancing a jig, and I just want to thank you guys.
In stark contrast to the jubilation of the Simpson family was the tortured despair of the Goldmans and the mystified disappointment of the prosecution.
We all stand in front of you with the belief that the evidence was there. This was not, in our opinion, a close case.
We came here in search of justice. You will have to be the judges, I expect, as to whether or not any of us found it today. But I'm not bitter, and I'm not angry. But I'd also like to thank the lawyers on our prosecution team. I am honored to have
this prosecution team didn't lose today. I deeply believe that this country lost today. Justice was not served.
By day's end, we heard our first comments from the jury, along with confirmation that a rift does exist within Simpson's defense team.
I'm glad to be back. I feel free.
What do you feel about the verdict?
I think we did the right thing. You know, matter of fact, I know we did.
Why such a short deliberation? What went on in there?
Well, right now, I'd rather have no comment. I'll talk at a later time. Right now, I'm tired.
How did you make the decision so fast?
Well, we've been there 9 months. You know, don't take another 9 months.
My position was always the same, that race would not and should not be a part of this case. I was wrong. Not only did we play the race card, we dealt it from the bottom of the deck.
Would you work again on a case with Johnny Cochran?
No.
Who hired F. Lee Bailey? Did you?
It was my desire to have him behind the scenes, to rely on his great wisdom and his brain power, but I did not feel that he should be in the courtroom.
Would you work on a case again with F. Lee Bailey?
I will not talk to F. Lee Bailey again.
Late in December, Johnny Cochran held a party for the jurors. O.J. Simpson wasn't there, but he did send a videotape thanking them and saying that in the near future he, quote, hoped to break bread with them. None of the white jurors was present at that party. Still ahead on the Best of SportsCenter 1995, we'll relive baseball's best game of the year. It was a magical night in Seattle, and we'll bring you the top 10 moments of 1995 as the Best of SportsCenter moves forward.
Still to come on the Best of SportsCenter 1995, the loss of a living legend and the end of an era, the passing of Mickey Mantle. Baseball's game of the year as the big unit went the extra yard for the M's. And the uplifting and the unexpected, the story of the Northwestern Wildcats.
The 95 baseball season, the Seattle Mariners were a very close second. While Ripken revitalized the game, the Mariners breathed life into a city. Seattle had all but punched the Mariners out of their collective sports conscience when in the bottom of the 11th, Ken Griffey Jr. took off from first, and, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Dan Patrick brings us back to Game 5, October 8th at the Kingdome.
To the Kingdome we go. Andy Bennis, your starter in Game 5. The biggest start of his career, facing David Cone, who's been here before. The Mariner faithful on hand, even the Mariner Moose. Bennis started strong. First batter of the game, Wade Boggs. Cone matched him early, getting Jay Buhner. Bottom 3, it's scoreless when Joey Cora turns on the Cone fastball. 1-0 Seattle. Top 4, the Yankees will strike back after Bernie Williams walk. Paul O'Neill, who has had Andy Bennis' number when both were in the National League, Yanks lead it 2-1. M's come back. Bottom 4, Tino Martinez at third. Jay Buhner breaks his bat. We're tied at 2. Top 6, trouble for Bennis. 1 out. He walks Ruben Sierra to load the bases. Don Mattingly up. Don Mattingly pounces on the first pitch. A double down the line. Williams and O'Neill will score 4-2 Yanks. We move to the bottom of the 8th, and it's Ken Griffey Jr. bringing the Mariners back. Gone. 5th homer of the series for Jr., which ties Reggie Jackson's playoff record. Mariano Rivera on to face Mike Flowers. And Rivera, who's made a name for himself, a lively arm, freezes him. Top 9, Fernandez leads off with a double off the wall. Norm Charlton will exit stage left. And Lou Piniella brings in Randy Johnson. Johnson facing Wade Boggs. Fastball pitcher, fastball hitter. Johnson wins this one. 3rd K of the night for Wade Boggs. Paul O'Neill pops up to Dan Wilson. 4-4, we go to the bottom of the 9th. Vince Coleman on at second. Junior walked intentionally, and it's Jack McDowell against the best hitter in the American League. And he takes something off of it and gets Edgar Martinez. To the 10th, Randy Johnson cruising, gets Ruben Sierra to go too far on a breaking ball. Then it's Don Mattingly down looking on a fastball. And then it's Gerald Williams looking at strike 3. The big unit loves it. He's pumped. Top of the 11th, Pat Kelly at second. Randy Velarde. The base hit through the left side. Kelly dives. He's the go-ahead run. The Yankees lead it 5-4. Bottom of the 11th, Joey Cora with a dribbler down the first baseline. It eludes Mattingly. The second time in this series Cora has done that. Griffey, the base knock, 2-men aboard. Edgar Martinez struck out the last time he faced Jack McDowell. Edgar, the AL batting champ, and will get his fair share of MVP votes. If they took a vote tonight, he may win. Ball game. Cora scores. Griffey all the way from first. And the Mariners will now meet the Cleveland Indians. Refuse to lose. They have done exactly that. 6-5 in 10. Johnson gets the win. McDowell suffers the loss. Johnson, 3 innings of work, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 6 Ks. Martinez in the series, 12 of 21, 571, 2 homers, 10 RBIs. Griff Jr., 9 of 23, batting .391.
Incredible game. Perhaps the only thing sadder than the passing of Mickey Mantle was the fact that there were those Americans either too young or too disconnected to share in the grief and the loss of mourning the Mick. There was tragedy in Mantle's career and his life, each of which ended too soon with unfulfilled promise. Mantle transcended the cold numbers and the facts of his career and his life because each meant so much to so many. Here's Keith Olbermann.
In a simpler, more glorious time in sports, he was the icon of a generation. And when that time became more complex and more realistic, and when that generation aged, he became the living warm memory, the half myth, the 50s and 60s, still wearing a smile, still swinging a bat. Mickey Mantle. He was, his father thought, born to be a ball player, so Mutt Mantle planned ahead.
My dad named me after a baseball player before I was born. I was named after Mickey Cochran, and that's what I was raised to be. It was a baseball player. I'm lucky that I got to be one, you know. But that's all I ever thought about was being a baseball player.
Mutt Mantle was an Oklahoma zinc and lead miner, and in the 30s at $50 a week, there was no extra money in the household. But every night, Mickey remembered, his father would play ball with him on a homemade field. And every night as well, Mutt Mantle told Mickey, someday the managers will only use right-handed hitters against left-handed pitchers and left-handed hitters against right-handed pitchers. You become a switch hitter. The Yankees signed him in 1949. Their scout, Tom Greenwade, would be famous for 3 decades for having found him. He was an indifferent fielder as a minor league shortstop, but from the first day, he was a major leaguer at the plate. In 1951, the Yankees held a special camp for promising farmhands in Arizona. As Casey Stengel watched on, Mickey Mantle played himself onto the big league team. He had speed, he had the instincts of an outfielder, and he could hit a ball as far and as hard as anyone had ever seen. But stardom did not come quickly. On July 15, 1951, the Yankees sent 19-year-old Mickey Mantle to the minors. And there, he still could not hit. He thought of retiring. He called his father.
he knocks on the door, and I let him in. He just walks right past me, grabs my old suitcase and throws it down. He starts throwing stuff in it. You know, what are you doing? He goes, well, he said, I'm taking you back home. Said, you can work in the mines with me. He said, I thought I raised a man, not a coward. And he said, you're nothing but a coward. He said, you can just come back and work in the mines. And, of course, he's got tears in his eyes, you know, and it really tore me up, you know, see him feeling that bad, too. So it took me about 30 minutes to talk him into letting me have another chance, you know. But anyway, after he went home, I started hitting, and the rest was history.
1953, his 565-foot blast off Chuck Stobbs of the Senators at Griffith Stadium, Washington, is the first of the so-called tape measure home runs. 1955, he wins his first home run crown with 37. He is 23 years old. 1956, the MVP award, the Triple Crown, not just the American League Triple Crown. He leads the majors with 52 homers, 130 RBI, a .353 batting average. He also leads in runs scored and in slugging percentage, and he's 14th in the majors in stolen bases. 1961, the epic race with history. He and Roger Maris feasting on the pitching of the first expansion season, chase Babe Ruth. Maris wins the race. Mantle wins the fans. Between 1955 and 1961, Mickey Mantle hit 290 homers, better than 41 a season. The rest was history, none of which Mutt Mantle would see. Mickey caught his foot in a drain pipe at Yankee Stadium during the 1951 World Series and tore up his knee. When he awoke after the surgery, he found his father in the adjoining hospital bed, dying of Hodgkin's disease. Mutt Mantle was 40 years old. No male member of the family had ever lived beyond 41. No day would ever pass for Mickey Mantle without that fact, without that awareness of mortality.
Bobby Lane said it one time, if I'd have known I was going to be this old, I'd have took better care of myself. That's right. And that's really my story, too. I would have taken a lot better care. I can't believe I'm that old either. We was planning on about 40 or 45.
He had partied and drank by himself with his teammates, especially Whitey Ford and Billy Martin, through the 50s and the 60s. The leg and knee problems that had begun during high school football never ceased. Before each game, he would be wrapped in tape, often from his big toes to the middle of his thighs. And then suddenly it was 1968. The Yankee dynasty was over. Still just 37 years old, Mickey Mantle's legs were nonetheless giving out. 536 home runs had come and gone. He retired during spring training the next year.
In 1969, the Yankees had Mickey Mantle at Yankee Stadium, and there was like 72,000 people showed up that day, and it only held 68 then. I wish everybody in America could have that feeling one time. It's just unbelievable. They rode me around Yankee Stadium in a golf cart, and everybody stood up and applauded, you know, for like 10 minutes, and it's just really a great feeling.
Mickey Mantle was moving into a new career, that of being Mickey Mantle. His statistics could never explain his stature, but in a time in which sports meant only baseball, and baseball meant only the World Series, a time in which most kids felt lucky to be near a TV that had 3 different channels, Mickey Mantle appeared in 12 World Series in just 14 years. 12 World Series televised to every baseball mad kid in America.
I started when I wasn't that much of a kid in the early 50s in Tiger Stadium watching Mickey Mantle run around, and so I started to run like him and throw like him. Never did hit too much like him, but he's been my idol.
I limped like him. I walked like him. My bar mitzvah had an Oklahoma accent.
Eventually, the baby boomers grew up to be the entrepreneurs and the customers of the memorabilia industry, and Mickey Mantle was its and their focus. In 1993, the Upper Deck Company paid Mantle $2,750,000 for 1 year's worth of promotional appearances and autographs, and autographs, and autographs.
I didn't go to heaven, and I finally get in to see God, and he goes, well, Mickey, we can't keep you up here because of the way you acted on Earth, you know, but would you do me a favor before you leave? And I said, what's that, God? And he said, would you sign those 24 baseballs?
But the business of being Mickey Mantle didn't just bring money and wry humor. After his career, after his youth, after the death of his son Billy to Hodgkin's, came more alcohol.
I was really depressed after I quit playing ball, and then the last 10 years, for some reason, I knew that I wasn't like I should be. You know, I mean, I wasn't a good father, not a good husband. I'm just like floundering through life. for some reason or other, you know, and I knew I had to change.
The change was a seeming epiphany. Mantle went public in May of 1994 about alcoholism, about his feelings of failure and fear and of having let everyone down. A month in the Betty Ford Clinic and the words of a doctor had changed and seemingly saved his life.
He said, I'm not going to lie to you. The next drink you have might be your last. And I'm not kidding you. So he said, your liver's pretty bad. It could be a lot worse, but it's about as bad as it can get.
Take care of your body, Mickey Mantle had begun to preach years before. You only get one. There seemed to be little bitterness as the awareness came that he had not taken care. He had, after all, thought he would not be here to pay that price. But ultimately, there was in Mickey Mantle's life what the author Marcel Proust so perfectly summarized in the title of his ultimate novel, The Search for Time Lost.
They used to tell me in Whitey Ford if we didn't slow down, like Allie Reynolds and Vic Rasche and Eddie Lopat, all the old guys used to tell us we better slow down or we're going to be over the hill before our time. And, well, we both made the Hall of Fame.
Didn't do that bad.
But we should have done better.
I was there at Yankee Stadium, June of '69, when Mantle's number was retired. That day still is vivid in my mind. Now that moment has the feel of the end of innocence in sports, the last time an athlete would be an unquestioned hero for so long and for so many other people. A mourner outside the Dallas church perhaps put it best. The man was in his 40s, and he said simply, when Mickey died, he took my childhood with him. The Best of SportsCenter continues. We'll have the most improbable football story in recent memory, the Wildcats.
Wildcats scoring defense ranked 92nd in the nation. This year, it ranked first. In August, USA Today listed the odds against teams winning a Big Ten title. Michigan State, 1,000 to 1. Minnesota, 10,000 to 1. And Northwestern, 1,000,000 to 1. This was not a dream, considering that 4 years ago, Gary Barnett promised that the Purple would play in Pasadena. He was right. Steve Cyphers now with more on Northwestern mania.
Down the street from Dyke Stadium, what's playing is what's happening.
I think it's people outside the program. I think, I think these are strange days for them. I think, seeing us as winners is not the joke of the Big Ten.
People would say, oh, Northwestern football, it's an oxymoron. I mean, they really don't have a football team.
After 23 years of losing, Northwestern is bowl-bound, a bigger miracle than the parting of the Red Sea.
Stand still and behold the power of the Lord.
It seemed to have caught the nation probably by surprise and by storm.
We're as stunned as people were when the man walked on the moon.
I'm boring a lot of people today about Northwestern. Any speech, any meeting I go into, I bring up Northwestern.
It's been madness up here with all the media that's been coming around. I mean, you guys weren't here last year, were you?
Last year, I probably did a total of maybe 5 or 6 interviews. This year, I could do probably 5 or 6 interviews in a day or two.
What they're proving, in other words, is that brains does not interfere with great football performance.
It was so much easier in the days when they were losing to pretend that we were somehow intellectually superior, that we were above everybody else. Oh, I'll let the Ohio States and the Michigans have these great football games. We concentrated on SATs.
There was a certain snobbery in the fact that we just didn't wish to compete. We took that attitude about it.
But those days are gone. There's a craze going on, and not just in Evanston. Chicago, 7 million people are excited, and it hasn't been that way for a while.
People walking around wearing shirts like this, people wearing purple underwear, calling them, Wildcats as opposed to mild cats.
What's bigger in Chicago right now? Blackhawks, Northwestern.
I'd have to say Northwestern.
Bulls, Northwestern.
Northwestern.
Northwestern, probably. Which is good. Rodman's haircut, Northwestern.
But there's a tough one. I don't know. The Worm, man, he's big news, but I think the Cats.
I'm pulling for them. I hope they can continue to win.
I never dreamt of it, to imagine that they would go to a bowl or that they would beat Michigan and Notre Dame and Indiana and Wisconsin in the same year is pretty startling.
We've been here for the lean years, so we'll be here for the good years, too.
How lean were those years?
34 losses in a row is pretty lean.
They can ship UPS, yes.
I guess our bookstores don't have any sweatshirts left because we're winning so much.
The urgency is amazing. Our manufacturers who are licensed to use our marks are receiving orders from stores, and they want to fill those orders immediately.
What are the hot items?
Right now, almost anything with Northwestern football on it.
What if they lose?
There is no such thing. We expect victory every game now.
The student body is totally behind us, where in years past, the only thing people really cared about around here is, when their next midterm was their next paper. I hear people talking about, we're just going to kill these guys, and we're going to murder them.
It's like a whole different campus. I mean, the spirit, the enthusiasm is just amazing.
Other Northwestern teams aren't jealous. They're inspired. On homecoming weekend, the volleyball team watched the Wildcats pace Wisconsin before reporting to their match.
And we went on to beat Iowa, which was our first conference win all season.
As these guys are friends with the football players, it gets to be infectious. I mean, now our guys are challenged to try to do as well, if not better.
Better than the football Cats? Impossible. But that's what they said in September before Northwestern went to South Bend.
The most gratifying thing is to see our players do things that the general public didn't think they could do. We took a 23-year-old loser and turned it into a top 10 team. And that's something very special to every single one of us here.
How incredible is the Wildcat season? Coming into 95, they had the 105th all-time worst winning percentage out of 108 Division 1A teams. And now 10-1 and on their way to the Rose Bowl.
Well, the pictures really only tell part of the story of 1995. We have the words, the fabled sound bites that recall the athletes and the moments of this year, including the ever-quotable Dennis Rodman, as we continue with the best of SportsCenter.
If I'm a coach, I don't give a damn what you do. As long as you bring your on the floor, ready to play, and do a job that you're supposed to do, everything's fine with me.
Medfield, Mass. On Saturday night, watch me kick Tyson.
I don't judge people for what they are. I judge them for what they actually are. For what you are.
I'm the greatest thing ever. I love me. Thank God for Larry Holmes.
But I want you to know something.
I love you, man.
Yeah, mother cameras off, you mother. What kind of bull is that?
I hear ESPN is trying to me, and you guys are trying to make a controversy. There's not going to be a controversy.
Screw the Rangers.
So I always just march to the beat of my own drum. Hey, people like me, God bless them. Thank you. They don't.
No, I'll handle this the way I want to handle it now that I'm here. You it up to begin with. Now just sit there or leave. I don't give a what you do. Now, back to the game.
And screw the Devils.
Should Jimmy Johnson replace you? All that old bull. I'm tired of that punk. I'm tired of it. I'm fed up to here with that. Up to here.
Fourth of the damn pinky. That's what it was. But you don't have the to go for it, and we do. We got nuts. We got nuts around here.
I work for the Islanders, and I could care less about them.
Did you?
Lenny Dykstra wants to play baseball in 1995. As far as going across, you'll have to ask me again in April, Chris.
I am not going to tarnish this game. And to me, I will not do that by accepting this. I will not do that.
What's your message to the regular players?
Stay home. You don't want a job, I'll take it.
The players are back. The game is back. And we are very happy about that.
I don't think Don Fear would stand up and say he won, because he didn't.
The sad part about it is we have so many young players that probably didn't even realize what's going on, but when you've been here 10 years, you know what is behind that, and you appreciate that. And really, I'm done.
I can just tell you what happened today. I'm not
I'm not Dionne Warwick. I don't have to do with the psychic hotline.
We see all things. We know all things. We watch, we see, we know ESPN.
My career is now taking a new direction, a new turn. It's not easy.
That's wow. Why isn't it Roy?
For officials to sit there and not be able to count 11 people, and it's a debacle.
O'Neal steps behind the three-point line. What is he doing? He shoots. It's good. Oh, my God. They win.
She was an absolute bitch, and she got even with us today, and that's what the U.S. Open's all about. Maybe we could have a little football nest over there, and you could come down and sit on them there.
Deion Sanders will not be returning to the San Francisco 49ers.
Deion Sanders is not the savior of this football team.
My mother really hurt me in negotiations. I think we could have squeezed a little more out of Jerry.
It's a team effort. We won this motherfucking championship.
I think they're going through denial right now.
We flat out got our butts kicked. I wouldn't explain it like that. It would be a little more severe.
How about them Cowboys?
I was going to try to play basketball for the Chicago Bulls, but figured it wasn't in my best interest, and I was a little too short.
Thank you to the fans of Philadelphia who've supported us when we weren't so good. We're getting better, and we're going to do it.
It may not be that long, but that's fine. I got there, and you can't take that away.
Hopefully a miracle's around the corner, but I'm not banking on it. I'm not counting on it. But I'm here now.
Up next on the Best of SportsCenter 1995, franchises on the move and the painful repercussions.
I know what you went through 11 years ago, because that's exactly what's happening in Cleveland right now. And I am deeply, deeply sorry from the bottom of my heart.
History, the religious devotion of fans in Ohio and throughout America, all of that could not counter what Art Modell says is a $60 million mountain of debts, which is why he says he's taking his Cleveland Browns to Baltimore. Whether he succeeds and whether Cleveland retains some sort of NFL football, the next few months may determine. But the Browns are simply the latest, not the last chapter in the current fever of franchise moves.
I believe 70,000 cheering fans will be cheering for Maryland's newest team, the Baltimore Browns.
Baltimore Browns. It sounds unbelievable. But then it took years for Indianapolis Colts to roll off the tongue, and now it is St. Louis Rams and again Oakland Raiders.
Every single city that has an NFL franchise ought to be concerned about what happened to Cleveland.
In a league once seen as the epitome of stability, a revolution has erupted, and it threatens to turn the perception of the NFL from gray flannel businessmen to carpetbagging opportunists. Teams are moving. Ticket prices are climbing faster than in any other sport. Tickets are up 39% in the 90s. As the Browns pack for Baltimore, perhaps a half dozen other teams could be reaching for a suitcase as well. The Browns bolted because Tampa Bay had eyes on Baltimore, and the Bucs may still move down the road to Orlando. The Houston Oilers are determined to play next year in Nashville. The Arizona Cardinals may be looking. The Bengals want a new stadium. Seattle is itchy to leave the Kingdome, and the Patriots want a new home park. The Raiders, back in Oakland, have the most expensive average ticket in football, $51. That's a 63% increase over last year in Los Angeles and more than double what tickets cost 5 years ago. The Raiders and the National Football League are fighting over premium seat license money, $4 million worth. Money the Raiders will not share with visiting teams.
The whole situation is revenue, and the people are now concerned because of what has happened. The Dallas Cowboys have taken revenue to a new level, and it's one that's a concern. We brought the expansion teams in. They have a situation that they're producing a lot of revenue. Then Davis, as you mentioned, he said that he would go because of that. Then you have the Rams going because of that. You're in a situation where there are teams that don't intend to move and don't want to move. But they are put at a serious disadvantage, and it's going to affect the game.
Premium seats and luxury boxes are defining the new economy in the National Football League and driving the relocation boom. The Browns' move to Baltimore would give it the most stadium-generated money of any NFL team. The top 5 teams with that income were not even playing in their current cities last year. Significantly, Baltimore, Oakland, and St. Louis are on their second NFL franchise. If cities won't do anything to keep teams, they seem ready to do anything to reacquire NFL football. This at a time municipal and state dollars are tighter than ever and urban needs more pressing.
The broader issue, which I think somebody in this room ought to begin to ask, is why are there Baltimores and Clevelands? Why do citizens have to suffer this? Why do communities have to go through the gut-wrenching, awful experience that the people of Baltimore have had to go through for 11 years, and that the people in the city that I have lived all my life have started to possibly go on today? That is the question.
The Browns in Baltimore are estimated to bring an additional 1,400 jobs to Maryland, more than $120 million in spending, and $17 million in taxes. The flip side, in Oakland, that city's government is on the hook for several $1 million of unsold preseason Raider tickets that it guaranteed. Modell needs 23 votes, or no more than 6 opponents, for league approval of this move. The Rams' shift to St. Louis was first rejected until Georgia Frontiere agreed to pay $30 million to the rest of the league. Opposition then evaporated. The Browns must satisfy the league's official criteria for a move. There are 9 requirements. 8 concern economics or politics. 1 concerns fan loyalty. For NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue, another crisis at a time that Cowboys owner Jerry Jones is challenging league policy on everything from revenue sharing to drug enforcement, and Al Davis continues to press his agenda with the Raiders. Art Modell, for years, was the very NFL establishment, the powerful baron of TV negotiating riches. But there was Modell, in bright sunlight, quoting the original NFL rebel as he moved his team to a new city.
I won't steal Al Davis's line of commitment to excellence, but I'll just say I express to you, with all that I can command, a commitment to make you proud of us.
And so as the Oilers pack for Nashville, the Rams enjoy St. Louis, and the Winnipeg Jets get primed for Phoenix. Here they are, the teams in the major sports with the longest stays in their current cities.
Well, Sonny had Cher, and the Chiefs had Joe Montana. Joe left to share his time with his family, and the Chiefs were left with Bono. Oh, no, you say? 3 overtime wins early in the '95 season, and boom, the Bono-led Chiefs were on their way to their second AFC West title in 3 years. The most dramatic of those 3 overtime wins on a Monday night in October against the Chargers. Steve Levy has the highlights of the NFL's Game of the Year.
First quarter, Stan Brock trips Dan Salamua, and watch Neil Smith deliberately stands on his foot. Actually, his hand. How about payback? We go to the fourth quarter, 16-13 Chiefs. Chargers, 3rd and 9 at their own 28. Stan Humphries scrambles 10 yards. Then illegal contact penalty on the Chiefs keeps the Bolts drive alive. Humphries deep to Sean Jefferson. He would go down to the 4-yard line. Next play, Humphries rolling out of the pocket. Dump off to Shannon Mitchell, easy. Touchdown, 20-16, San Diego. Chiefs got the ball back. 3rd and 1. Chargers placed in D. Junior Seau, Dennis Gibson. Now Marcus Allen. Allen did not get his 100th career rushing touchdown, by the way. Chargers ball again. Humphries. The drop, the throw to Ronnie Harmon. Harmon breaks 1 tackle, and then all sorts of daylight down the sideline inside the Kansas City 30. Same drive. Humphries. Rolling again, showing the mobility, gets it off completion. Replay shows he paid for it after releasing the hit by Neil Smith. Gail Gilbert came in to replace him. 23-16 Chargers now. Chiefs drove to the Charger 19. Steve Bono. It's Derek Walker. Touchdown with 15 seconds left. 23 all. We go to overtime. Chiefs ball. Bono. Pass off Willie Davis's hands. Lewis Bush should have had the interception, but the Chiefs punt instead. The Chargers couldn't do anything with the ball, so they punted too. Tamarick Vanover from his 14, cuts left, nearly tackled by the punter, Darren Bennett. Oh, how embarrassing that would have been, and he is gone. 86-yard touchdown, and the Chiefs win off a punt return. Get that helmet off. Takes the helmet off. Actually, we don't like to see that. Marty Schottenheimer enjoying this one. The Chargers were in shock. Vanover afterwards was in tears. 29-23, and the Chiefs win a dramatic one. It's the Chiefs' third win in OT this season. KC now 5-1, tying them for the best mark in the NFL with Dallas and Oakland.
As the Best of SportsCenter 95 continues, the images of the year, including those that invoke fear and terror. The college basketball game of the year, and also the images of the year in sport 1995. And you see the precision of the Niners in yet another Super Bowl blowout, the exuberance of Cal Ripken's victory lap, the terror of that shipwreck during the America's Cup, the slapstick of a fistfight between cyclists in a major race. Now you can open your eyes to enjoy the images of this year in sports.
This one has gotten almost where it's embarrassing and it's ridiculous.
My dream, and like most dreams, whether you want to or not, you end up waking up, and this is like the wake-up call for me. It's time for me to move on.
Another look, now the pitch. Murray hits the ground ball through the right side, into right field, a base hit. Eddie Murray has done it. The 20th player in baseball history to reach 3,000.
Stockton with the ball front court left. He looks to Karl Malone. He's got him low. The mailman jumps it. Shot up. It's in. He did it. He did it. A new NBA assist king of the NBA.
And Martinez 2-2 pitch is a flare to left. Kelly is there. Martinez has got it. A no-hitter. Ramon blesses himself in thanksgiving, and he is being mobbed by his teammates.
So a 6-yard touchdown pass from Dan Marino to Keith Byers separates Marino from Fran Tarkenton.
The 400th victory for Eddie Robinson.
Well, plenty more to cover in our look back at this memorable year in sports, including that remarkable night in February, Duke, Carolina, double overtime, and the top 10 moments of the year. Will Rebecca Lobo and her Husky teammates make the cut? They did cut down the nets. Played perhaps the greatest game in their storied basketball rivalry. Reserve Fred Lind played the entire second half in 3 overtimes, hit the game-winning basket, and was carried by the Duke students all the way from the court to Duke Chapel. In 1995, the two teams provided another Cameron Classic. Duke without their renowned coach, Mike Krzyzewski on the sidelines. Brett Haber with our college hoop game of the year highlights.
Teal's looking for 4 straight. Can't spell Duke without a K, and you can't spell Carolina without Dickie V. Yes, we can't believe it. Look at it again. Stackhouse blown by Parks baseline. Carolina up 26-9, but Duke comes back. Parks, the up fake and the foul. Crazies love it. Duke trailed by 5 at the break, and then they fought back with the hustle. Watch Chris Collins out-scrapping Donald Williams for the board and the foul. Duke up 12. Donald Williams then. He's no good on the jumper for Carolina, but look at Rasheed Wallace skying for the putback dunk. Duke leads by 10. Carolina with the defense. McGinnis with the strip. And look out below from Stackhouse. Duke up by just 5 now. Calabria hits the 3. It's just 3. That ties it at 76. Parks hit 2 free throws. We're tied at 81. We go to overtime. Capel in the extra period. Driving, gets the hoop and the foul. UNC by 3. Zwicker at the line to ice it.
Got a chance. He lets it fly. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Did you believe that?
Nobody could believe it. Capel sends it to double overtime. Donald Williams put the heels up 2. McGinnis steals and puts them up by 4. Duke has a last chance. Wojciechowski, no good. Greg Newton, no good. Comes up short, and Duke comes up short. Unbelievable finish as Carolina wins it by 2, despite blowing the 9-point lead in the first overtime. 25 each for Stackhouse and Rasheed Wallace. Duke falls to 0-8 in the ACC and loses its 4th straight to North Carolina. May not have looked good on paper, but Duke UNC always good on the floor.
Always great on TV. When we continue with the best of SportsCenter 95, Reggie lights it up and shoots for a spot in our top 10 moments of the year. And we'll remember the year the merriment stopped for the men in uniform.
Reports and arthroscopic surgery and a coveted diagnosis of day-to-day. All to chronicle the inevitable injuries that can afflict your favorite team. But as Keith Olbermann tells us, it was a challenging, physical, and brutal year for the fluffy, the furry, and the obnoxious, the mascots.
Not perhaps since Reggie Jackson's devastating hamstring pull in '72 had the ALCS seen such far-reaching carnage. Slider, mascot of the Indians, tears 2 ligaments in a devastating dance accident. The game performer struggles on, using his few remaining uninjured extremities to reassure a horror-stricken Cleveland crowd.
Hopefully, surgically everything will be fine, but he really did injure his knee quite severely, and hopefully, like I say, the surgery will put him back on his feet again.
As often happens, the heartfelt loss of the Indian star inspires those who struggle on without him. Jim Thome's 6th-inning 2-run homer puts the Indians in front to stay while Slider recuperates. And what kind of pitch did Thome hit? Ironically, and of course, a fastball. But Slider was not the first victim of a stricken year for AL mascots. An ordinary move, a tragic result. The Mariner Moose hits the wall real hard. It's a fractured ankle.
He will always be remembered as the #1 guy. He's having an MVP year, and he's going to be sorely missed.
The irony, of course, is that the Moose was hurt on a play successfully executed night in and night out throughout the game. But not this time. Not with this wall. What happened? A momentary lapse of concentration? Balding tires? Or could it have been insufficient padding on the Kingdome outfield wall? In one season, Griffey, Moose. Coincidence? How can anyone think so? And these 2 stars were not the year's only victims. Rally of the Braves laid low by a driver with an itchy accelerator foot. Sir Slapshot of the IHL Atlanta Knights, brutally attacked by Cincinnati coach Don Jackson. Add this to the traditional risks of mascotdom. cornering problems from the rack and pinion braking systems now in use, unsympathetic uniformed personnel, equipment poorly designed, poorly maintained, problems caused by alcohol, lingering depth perception issues, and worst of all, the eruption of the tension from the high pressure to get and keep their roster spots to stay ahead of the mascot rat race. Yes, the scourge that is mascot-to-mascot violence, an epidemic seen in every sport, in every league, in every context.
Can't we all just get along?
And lastly, public shame. First the Pittsburgh Pirate Parrot, and then his new colleague, the Pittsburgh Pirate himself, arrested in midsummer for after-hours swashbuckling with a woman in a public swimming pool, buck naked. Two greats for whom, on its eve, the promise of a World Series had become a lost dream.
I'd like to think the club is rallying around in their thinking process and saying, let's win one for the Moose.
Words to live by. Still ahead this Christmas Eve, our own exercise in democracy. The top 10 moments of the year is voted by your SportsCenter hosts. We're going to steam open that envelope when we come back.
We hope. Yeah. We know the world is going to come to Atlanta, and the best part in all this, we get an extra day of sports. It's a leap year.
That's right, February 29th. We hope to see you not just for that day, but for all the days in '96 and for all the men and women in SportsCenter. Thanks very much for joining us. We leave you tonight with our collective impressions of the top 10 moments of 1995. Good night.
Seems as though the players don't want to leave.
It's a kind of magic. It's a kind of magic.
In the Larry. There you are there.
He does get it to Reggie, who squares. Boom, baby! And hits the three from the high left, cutting the New York lead in half. Pacers still need some help. Oh, he threw it away. Reggie for three. Boom, baby! It's a tie ball game. This place right now is stunned. This would be nothing short of a miracle. Unbelievable 8-0 run in the final 18-plus seconds. Edney with the basketball into the front court. Down through the lane. Goes down. Yeah, baby! Yeah, baby!
There's been a lot of speculation about my plan, and here they are. I will fight again. I'm just looking forward to getting back at the position that I were at one particular time.
The 0-1 pitch on the way to Edgar Martinez. Swung on the line. Now the left field line for a base hit. Here comes Joy. Here's Junior to third base. They're going to wave him in. The throw to the plate will be late. The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship.
Monica Seles, even without playing in the last 2.5 years, has picked up right where she left off.
Amazing grace.
I just hope God has a place for him where he can run again, where he can play practical jokes on his teammates and smile, that boyish smile. Because God knows no one's perfect. And God knows there's something special about heroes. So long, Mick.
At the other guard, 6'6" from North Carolina, number 45, Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan against Miller to the free throw line. Jumper good. Yeah, that looked like MJ right there, didn't he?
Jordan for the win. Yes! He did it again! He is now back!
What began on May 30th, 1982, and continues September 6th, 1995. Let it be said that number 8, Cal Ripken Jr., has reached the unreachable star.